Hello indie community, I'm Scott the Indie Vlogger and welcome to my vlog. Today I'd like to introduce you to the channel, tell you who I am, what this vlog is about, and what you can expect to see here. To begin with, my name is Scott. I've been a software developer for the past 7 years. I'm also a game design hobbyist. I started programming back in high school, and you can probably tell that was a few years ago. I started with a programming language called QBasic. Today it would be considered archaic, pretty old. I enjoyed it so much that after I got out of that class, I went out and bought a Teach Yourself C++ book and started learning on my own. During that time, I found that I really loved designing games and started my hobby. I created a bunch of small, simple games. I made clones of games like Tetris, Breakout, Pong, all the classics, and then I started designing simple adventure games myself. I happen to have a little bit of artistic skill. I love to draw. I've spent way more time in my life just doodling, just for the fun of it. Because of that, I could draw my own sprites, create my own character, my own pictures for my games. After high school, I got into 3D modeling. I was given a limited license copy of a program called 3D Studios Max. The limited copy didn't allow me to sell my work, but it allowed me to learn about 3D modeling. And I enjoyed it. I had a good time, but I never really did want to pursue it as a career. I wanted it just to be a hobby, a thing that I would do for the fun of it. Now, a bit of a side note. At the time I started doing 3D modeling, it was very, very difficult to put your 3D models into a game. So what I would do is I would design my game, design the models, I'd render out a sprite sheet of the models, and I'd put those sprites into a 2D game. It gave them a little more depth and a little more character, but at the same time was easier to do than trying to design a full 3D game. Now these days, it is a lot easier. The tool set that's out there, it makes it very simple to get a 3D model into a game. But at the time, I contented myself with sticking with 2D games built with 3D renders. And when my limited license ran out, I did not have the $3,000 to buy a brand new copy of 3D Studios Max. So I went looking for a new tool, and I found an open source program known as Blender 3D. Now, when I picked up Blender 3D, the interface was really bad. It was difficult to deal with. I had a hard time learning it. So different than 3D Studios Max that it kind of put me off. So I pushed it off to the side and I went looking for other tools. While I was going to college, I started developing games using the XNA framework, Microsoft's game design framework that was popular for a few years. And during that time, I found this free program called Softimage XSI Mod Tools. And it was a nice tool to use. I'd play with it a little bit, built a couple things, and because it had a great interface that connected with Visual Studios, it made it easy to get my models into the game, but it was not as intuitive a program as the ones I was used to. So after a little while, I moved on from that as well. Also, during college, I found that I was able to get a student license for Maya. Powerful program, amazing program. Again, the limited license, the student license, didn't allow me to sell what I made. So even though I liked it, I moved on from there. And I wound up circling back around, finding Blender again, and found out that the interface had changed quite a bit, to the point where I actually rather enjoyed working with it. It was still difficult, had a very steep learning curve, but it was more like what I was used to, and the tool set was amazing. So in the end, it wound up becoming the perfect tool to feed my addiction. I mean my hobby, to feed my hobby, yeah. Now to round out my tool set, I also am a bit of a musician. I mainly play piano and trumpet. I have done a little bit of percussion and a couple other brass instruments. I've played the drum set, snare drum, learned a little bit of trombone, that kind of thing. But because of that love of music, I decided what I would do is I'd learn a little bit about music composition. Now, I am by no means a professional composer, but I do know enough to be able to write a simple tune that matches the style of my game and suits it. So because of that, I was able to have all of the tools I needed. I could create the music, I could create the sprites, I could create the software to build these little games. Now, as I said, I consider myself a game design hobbyist. I consider myself that because I have never sold any of the games I've made. Mainly, I've made them for my own enjoyment and for that of my family. Now, that's where this vlog is going to come into play. This vlog will follow what I hope will be my transition from a game design hobbyist to an indie game designer, a developer. I'm going to work on a game. I have a project in mind. I want it to be sold on probably the Android and iOS markets. And this vlog will be following that transition. This isn't meant to be a tutorial series. It's just kind of a vlog of my journey from hobbyist to actually selling something. Now, I'll show snippets of what I'm working on, the tools that I'm using, let you see as I'm modeling some of the characters, sketching out the ideas, show the code that I'm writing, and allow you to see basically what I'm doing as I work. But I'm not going to explain all of the stuff in depth. I do plan on talking about the tool set that I use. Now, my whole tool set is free software. Everything I use to make my games, you can find online, freely available, made there, put there for you to use for your own projects. Most of it is also open sourced. If you're unfamiliar with open source basically means that the source code is provided to you. So if you need to make changes to the software, you can, as long as you have that programming skill. You can go in and tweak the program to fit your own project. The open source community encourages you to make changes and then submit those back to the original project. And if that helps other people, it winds up in the main project itself. All right, at this point, as I've told you a little bit about my own personal skill set, I want to show you some of the things I've worked on, some of the things I've done. I know by now, either you've left the channel and you've gotten bored, you've moved on, or you're thinking to yourself, why hasn't this guy sold a game yet? It's really easy in this day and age to build a simple game and put it on the market and get it sold. Well, now that's where the problem comes in. You see, I'm lazy. Yeah. So I'm hoping that in doing this vlog, it'll help me get over my own laziness and move past that so that my projects will go from just fun family projects to an actual marketable game. I want to be able to produce something that I can be proud of, that people will enjoy, And I think that having to be held accountable by you, the indie community, it will help me push through that laziness and move on to be able to produce a product that is viable. So that's where this channel comes in. I'm starting a project that will help make me move from hobbyist to indie developer. I'll introduce you to my project this coming Friday. I'll show you basic ideas of what I want to do and where I want to go. It's meant to be a quick project, shouldn't take longer than a month, and then we can move on to another one. So I hope that by watching this, you'll find some inspiration. If you're on the same journey I have been over the years, you may hopefully find something from me that'll help you push past that as well and move into that same marketable state. And hopefully I can be an inspiration to you. So thanks for watching today. That's all the time I have now. If you enjoy my ramblings, please like this video. And also, if you really want to help this become a success, hit subscribe. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next episode.